some of the stuff that I'm going to do, I don't really enjoy doing. I could do it, but I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm at a point over the last 10 plus years where I only do stuff that I really enjoy and that make me want to get up and make me want to do that stuff. And I'm sure you're in the same situation.
Yes.
If you have something that you have to do that you don't enjoy, you're ultimately going to find someone else that can do it.
So I'm sitting here with Abraham Gray, has currently how many businesses?
It's a little bit over 40.
So a little over 40 different businesses, and then own around how many properties in your portfolio right now?
200 and in the 200s.
So in the 200s. So Abraham, I look up to you so much in business, and I'm appreciative to, just consider you a friend and somebody that, I can, ask for advice. And so I appreciate you being on the That's Not My Job podcast today, man.
I look up to you a lot more than you think too. So because the stuff that I see you do is stuff like I couldn't do no matter what. I have someone that does that stuff for me, but I see all the different things that you do with Pace. I'm like, holy crap, this guy is like super sharp, super smart, and knows how to do all this stuff. So I'm sure I look up to you as much or more than you look up to me. So
hey, no, I love it. And so I'm excited to talk about, the obviously having over 40 businesses, all of those real estate properties. And I know, you as a visionary, there's people that have to be helping make a lot of these things happen behind the scenes. And so I'd love to kind of, unpack some of that today and kind of talk through that, because, a lot of people that listen to this podcast, they're integrators or, just operations people. And they sometimes, I have conversations with these people. They feel like, what value do I have to bring? What are the things that I could do to bring to, a visionary like yourself or like a Pace that, they can come in and be able to create an awesome opportunity for themselves. And so I'd love to talk about maybe some of the ways that you've set up, maybe some of your businesses that, how you bring in the operating team members to execute on those things and kind of what that looks like, just to really just show people what could be possible by, connecting with the right people and having them lean on the skills that they're already great at, but, just having the right partner to work with.
Yeah. So it's real funny. Like a lot of people, and, Pace talks about it all the time, see the visionary and think, oh man, that's the person doing everything. Literally when I look at it, I'm like, the visionary does 10%. Like, honestly, like I look at what I do compared to what everyone else does. Yeah. I come up with a lot of the ideas and, I kind of negotiate the stuff, but to me, that's easy and fun. Yeah. After that, it's like, holy crap. It's like everything else. That's the 90%. Yeah. And I don't hardly do any of that stuff. I'll help with it. I'll give advice, feedback, stuff like that. But without that person that does that, nothing would ever happen. No one would ever know the visionary because they're worthless. So if I did everything, which, when we first start, we kind of do everything.
Right. You got to wear all the hats and figure it out.
Exactly. And when I first, started doing my first business, second business, I couldn't really grow and do many, many more things because I had to do everything. Yeah. And then once I learned that it's better to have people that do the integrator stuff, that's when I started to go from one business to 3 businesses to 10 and then eventually hundreds of businesses.
Yeah. So I'd love to talk about maybe that first one. Where was the first business that, maybe it was one that you bought or you got involved in that you really saw the power of having an operating partner or person that was running the business? How did that come about? What was the business and what was that dynamic like?
Yeah. So I remember, back when I was 15, I started my first business. It was sports cards. And I did that for, a long time, probably almost 8-9 years. And at some point in the sports cards, I had other people that were competitors or friendly competitors that we did stuff with. I saw people that were really good at the stuff I wasn't good at. And I saw that I was really good at some of the stuff they weren't. And eventually we became partners. Mm-hmm. And once we became partners, we were able to take the business to a whole new level. Not only were we able to take that business to a whole new level, we were able to get things that were very similar to what we were doing, other types of collectibles, nothing to do with sports cards, and add that to what we were doing. And I was able to figure out the stuff to add and negotiate it and pricing and all that stuff. And they were able to implement the actual business. And we literally went from making, millions of dollars to tens of millions of dollars, within 5 years of when we started doing stuff together.
That's amazing. So it was really you started working together, kind of figured, okay, you're pretty good at the stuff that I maybe don't like to do, maybe not as good at, and then vice versa. They were like, wow, Abraham is really good at these things and he's crushing it when he's focusing on that. So it kind of was out of just this natural thing of you're both working together, but working on separate things that together was driving the business in the right direction.
One thing I heard you say, earlier in a podcast with Pace, which is really important to understand, is it's not even that he's a lot better than me at it, or I'm a lot better than him at it.
Right.
Like, in theory, we could almost be equally as good.
Right.
But I just don't enjoy it. And because I don't enjoy it, I end up not being as good at it. Or if I kept doing it, I think I could do it almost as good.
Yeah.
But I'd get burnt out and I wouldn't be able to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was capable of doing it because in the beginning we do everything.
Yes, for sure.
I just didn't like it. And when you don't like something, you're going to end up not being as good at it, and you're just not going to want to do it. So that's the most important thing people have to realize is that if you don't enjoy it, even if you could do it, you're going to burn yourself out, like you said.
Yes.
And that's a recipe for disaster.
And so that's really like, it's like, you know, looking at things that are like things that give you energy versus take your energy, whether, you know, not even a necessary, you know, conversation of like whether you're capable of doing something or not. It's more of like, do you really like doing it to where you could see yourself working on that thing long term versus I'm doing this because I have to, but if I have to do this for years, I'm gonna just hate my life because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you wanna love life. Like I know, like every day I go to bed, I'm like, I can't wait to get up because I have so much cool stuff I'm gonna do the next day.
Yeah.
But if I had to do everything, I wouldn't want to, you know, it wouldn't be as exciting to get up. I'd be like, some of the stuff that I'm going to do, I don't really enjoy doing. I could do it, but I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm at a point over the last 10 plus years where I only do stuff that I really enjoy and that make me want to get up and make me want to do that stuff. And I'm sure you're in the same situation.
Yes.
If you have something that you have to do that you don't enjoy, you're ultimately going to find someone else that can do it.
100%. And that's really, you know, and that's part of, you know, this podcast is like building a business beyond yourself is really what people are wanting to do. And, you know, when I was talking with Pace earlier on this is, you know, the HR side of business is something that it just like sucks the energy out of my soul when I have to deal with that. And so, you know, that's something where we've had like a fractional HR. So somebody that just, you know, outsourced HR services for the last, you know, few years. And now we're working on hiring that fully in-house just to take it completely off my plate, because those are the things like you're saying, it's like I can deal with those things and I deal with them well, but after I have to deal with like an HR conversation, I just want to like jump off the roof of our freaking office.
And by doing that HR thing that you could do, but you don't enjoy, by doing that, you're probably not doing 2 or 3 other things that would make you just go so much further. So, you know, by getting rid of that, you could, you know, double or triple your success with other things that, you know, that you can't do because you're doing something that you don't even want to do in the first place.
Yes, exactly. And I think, you know, for a lot of people, they hold on to the things and when they really need to just like let go. And, you know, that I've learned that over the years and I don't really do that anymore. But I think for a lot of people, whether visionary or integrator, they tend to hold on to these things and they're like, well, no one's going to care more than I am. No one's going to do it better than I am. No, you know, it's like that very, you know, limited fixed mindset.
The biggest thing I see people say all the time, exactly what you said, you know, I'm going to do it better. I'm going to care more, which, you know what? They're probably telling the truth. They're right.
It's true.
But it doesn't matter. Is it better to get 80 or 90% of what, you know, as good as you're going to do it, but be able to do 10 times more things that you enjoy more?
Yes.
Or do you want to just stick with, you know, it just doesn't make sense. If you really think about it, if you put it on a whiteboard and you show somebody the difference of money you can make and the difference of enjoyment you're going to have in your life, it's like a no-brainer. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever done that on a whiteboard, like show like, you know, exactly what you're going to get by doing it yourself. If you do it 20% better than somebody else, as opposed to letting that person, but you could do 3 times as much every year, how much more money you're going to make, but also how much more enjoyment you're going to have in life.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, on that conversation piece too, is I think sometimes what it is some people, they're using that as an excuse to not hire people because they're scared. They're like, they're putting this front of, oh, well, they're just not going to do it as good as me. So I'm not going to hire them. And they like almost hold it as like a badge of honor of like, I care more. I'm going to do a better job. So I'm not going to do that. But I think for a lot of people, it's a place of like insecurity of like thinking they're going to screw it up or it's not going to be done the right way. And really the thing that I'm always telling people is like, you're going to hire people that are going to let you down. You're going to hire someone, you're going to delegate something, they're going to screw it up. All of those things that people's fears are going to happen. So it's like, just do it. And like when I talk about delegating or like helping teach like even people on our team to delegate, I'm always telling them like, look, it's scary to delegate because you're scared of something maybe get screwed up. Like, don't delegate heart surgery as their first task. Like, hey, take out the trash. You know, it's like having something that's like more simple to give to someone that, you know, if they screw it up, it's not going to like detrimentally screw up your business. But like, you have to let people screw things up because that's how they learn.
And that's how everyone grows.
Yes.
And it's like such common sense when you really think about it, but people don't get it for some reason, and once you get it, you get it.
Yes. Yeah.
But like some people just take so long to get it.
Yes.
It's more of a mindset thing than anything.
It is. It really is.
And there's so many ways to change people's mindset, especially no matter how successful you are. If you look at people that are a little bit more successful you or people you look up to, see what they do. And once you see how they do it, that could kind of help change your mindset a little bit, because there's no way they did it on their own.
No one is truly self-made. Like when people say like I'm self-made, it's like there's mentors you find along the way. You read a book that gave you some insight. You went to an event, you learned something from a podcast, you learned, it's like we're all a collection of the experiences and insights that we've learned, and throughout our lives and all the things that we've encountered. And so, we all go through our own different challenges and things that we've had to overcome to be where we are today.
Yeah. I mean, another big thing I hear people say, you probably hear it all the time. They're like, you know what? Yeah, I see that you have partners. You have an integrator. His name might be David or whoever, depending on the business. And you have a David, Pace has a Cody. But you know what? You guys are partners. I hate partners. I can't have a partner. Like I can't do this with a partner. There's a million different reasons why they don't have partners. And you know what? It's okay for people. If you just really don't want to have a partner, it's okay.
Yes.
But you got to have that high 6-digit person, that runs the stuff for you.
Yes.
Maybe they're not your partner, but maybe you just pay them really well.
Yes.
If you don't pay someone really well, you're going to get what you pay for.
Oh my gosh. That's, I think that's just a nugget in itself. Is a lot of times, and this drives me nuts. Like people are always, it's like I have these conversations like, do you think I could get someone for like this salary? And I'm like, you can get someone, sure. But like, what are you wanting them to accomplish? How well do you want them to perform? And so the thought process Pace and I always have is like, we try to, do our best, like, myself and the team try to do our best to research, like what is like the compensation for a role. And we always try to pay a little bit more than what it would be normally to pay for the role. Cause we want to try to get the better talent, because the better talent person is going to make significant, like you could hire 2 people that are like cheap for a role. Like, and we did this. The reason I could say this is, but when we first started building our media team, we hired people that were really affordable for like video editors, and the edits were dog shit. Like we had to like trash them so much, and like they took so long to do the job, and like it was just a pain in the butt. But we just thought, okay, well, if we could get 2 for this price, like amazing. Versus now we're like one of our video editors that is almost basically the cost of what those 2 people were is more productive than those 2 even were. It's like significantly.
Yeah. I mean, you live and learn. Like a lot of people don't understand this because it doesn't make sense until you actually go through it. Once you go through it, like you're like
crystal clear.
It's crystal clear, and you're gonna like tell people about it over and over. But like if you haven't gone through it, it doesn't make sense. How could 2 people not be like literally 2 $65,000 a year people that work for you? It's way better to have that 110, 120,000 that takes both their plates. They're gonna do so much better. Even if you pay someone 150 to take those. I mean, like literally, if you get the right person, it's 10 times better than having 10 of those, 6 years. It's crazy night and day.
It is. It really is. And so looking at like the way that you set up your operations now, right? Like what does that look like for, if you're going to acquire a business? Can you kind of talk through, like how do you identify like an operations person that you're plugging in? Or I know it's some of the businesses, they already have maybe someone in place, but like how do you kind of go about plugging someone in or getting someone new to, basically facilitate? Because that's essentially the model for you, right? It's like you buy the business and you're like, I'm out here. I'm going to look at maybe a scorecard and the numbers, but like someone's like doing the thing.
I look at the P&Ls every month, and just kind of make sure that stuff's going the way I expected. If not, we'll see what's wrong with the P&Ls and change it. But so I would say that, right now I'm buying more businesses than I'm starting. I used to start a lot of businesses.
I don't even want to start any anymore after like starting to buy them. I'm like, this is so much easier.
So starting a business is probably one of the stupidest things you can do for a million reasons. That's a whole nother like podcast. However, I made crazy amounts of money starting businesses. And I have a unique thing that I do. I only start businesses, by the way, that don't exist. Like if it's a new concept or something that doesn't exist. So you can't buy it. Like you have to start it. So I have like this whole process of how I find these businesses that I think will make millions and millions or tens of millions or potentially $100 million in a short period of time that don't exist. So those are the types I start.
Right.
But when I start those, I have partners that are like strong integrators, like yourself, that basically are super involved in that business. But let's just say I'm buying businesses, because that's mostly what people should do and are going to do. 99% of the businesses I buy have to have a management team in place. Although some don't. I'll tell you what I do when they don't. But for the most part, if they don't have a good management team in place, that almost kills the deal a lot of times, depending on the business. Some businesses I could take without a management team, but most of the time that kills the deal. So even though it has a management team in place, you still need, your partner or whoever to manage the
team, manage 100%. The management.
You need that.
Yes.
You need that. So I have, an operating partner in every business, and in some of the really key businesses, they actually operate the business, especially the ones that I start from scratch.
Right.
But the ones that I'm buying, that already have that team in place, my operating manager, partner, just really is in charge of the operating people that we took over, and is very little that they have to do, because again, we want to get the best of the best. If the price range of that particular person should be 100 to 150,000, we're going to get the 150,000. We're not going to get the 120, 100, because it's just not worth it. You don't want to have to micromanage someone. You don't have to tell them what to do. You want them to just figure it out and be able to do it and come to you with, the stuff that makes sense to come to you with. So that's the difference, by the way, between, 100 and 150. The 150 person is going to not come to you with stupid questions. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the difference. But so my operating partner manages the manager. Now, most likely time that I'll buy businesses that don't have a really good management team in place is if I have similar businesses.
You can plug
them in, and then whoever's running my current ones can now kind of take over those other ones. So that's a very big part of who takes over those businesses. So it's either they have a really good team in place, I keep them, and then my operating partner is going to manage that manager, which again, it's not going to be that much, not much. He's going to talk to them once or twice a week, a few times a week, depending on how good they are and, where that business is. Or if I'm starting a business, which I actually do start businesses every year, but they're these really crazy concepts that don't exist. And, that's how I made actually, most of my money. Most of my money came from these things that I came up with that didn't exist. And, the business I made the most money on, profited over $100 million.
Yeah.
And that was a business that didn't exist. I was the first one to it. And then lots of these businesses that, I'm making tens of millions of dollars on over the years. Again, it's a more risky, and you have to do a lot of due diligence and figure out, how you're going to find that stuff. But those businesses, I have my operating partner, and because we know that the potential of making so much money is there, I just have my operating partner kind of manage that every day to day for a while. And then eventually what happens is with these businesses, whether it's something, that doesn't exist or something, you start something that you should buy, at some point it gets to where they don't have to be there every day, because now you can hire a good manager and put in there, and they could just oversee them.
Check in
a few times a week, then twice a week, then once a week, then maybe once every couple, and eventually that's what happens. But it's important to make sure that you have multiple partners in different businesses if you're going to start a whole lot of things from scratch, because it really takes a lot of time from one person.
Oh gosh.
So buying the businesses, like you're saying, you could manage a dozen, because they already have,
people doing things
and SOPs in place and all these different things in place, that when you're starting from scratch, you can't start too many yourself. You can't handle it.
Yeah.
So if you do start a bunch, then you're going to have multiple operating partners.
Yeah. And that's where, what I look at the businesses that Pace and I have started from scratch, where I'm grateful for everything that I've learned from literally structuring the foundation of those businesses, to hiring the initial employees, to building those teams, to building literally myself SOPs for all the departments, to, how we put all of the infrastructure together. It's that serves me well now in any business that we go into. But where I'm super excited about the businesses that we're buying is that they aren't at that from scratch stage. It's whoa, I could just go in and optimize based on what they need. And so, one of the things that I have to ask you is for people that are listening, that are, that are those integrators that are trying to create big opportunities for themselves. If they were to plug in with an Abraham or a Pace, or, just a visionary that's trying to drive a business, what does an opportunity look like? Or what would you suggest to somebody that's oh my gosh, I would love to work with a Abraham or a Pace or someone, and plug in and be that, maybe the entrepreneur for their business? What does an opportunity like that look like for somebody?
Almost exactly what you do with Pace. Literally, I have a lot of different partners in different businesses.
Yeah. So I know it's going to vary on
they came to me and they showed me how they could bring value to me, and then I showed how I could bring value to them. and we were able to do something. So a lot of times,
what does that look like? I just want to unpack that a little bit, because I've had people ask on previous episodes that I put out there, like, how do I bring that value? How am I going to show an Abraham that value?
So here's the thing. You got to be creative. You can't just, it's going to be different for every person.
Right,
it's going to be different for every type of business. So the more creative you are, and they're going to connect. If you do something creative that, someone doesn't expect, or, no one else has done, you're going to remember that person.
Yeah.
You're going to want to do stuff with that person. You'll be like, wow, they did that. What else can they do? What I mean? If 100 people come to you asking to do stuff with you, they're probably all saying something similar. The one person that stands out is the person. So for example, obviously Pace has talked about what you did different than everybody else, but I've had people come to me and, show me that they've done certain things, and like, look, I've already done this. I know I could do it. So like, anyone has experience in something, that shows me the experience and shows me how they could use that experience to help me. Or a lot of times, we just click, like, we have the same, views. Right. We believe the same stuff. And I just know that, when you talk to someone for the first time, if they're going to be a person that you could work with, that you're not going to work with. I would say just be a really good person. Be honest. I always lead, like, every single person that I want to do something with. I always just try to help somebody. Like, I don't even want anything in return. I really don't. I just try to, like, figure out ways I could solve their particular problems. And every single business has problems. When I say problems, ways to make more money, right?
Right.
Making more money is a problem, right? So I'll say, look, you have this particular model. I know someone that does something a little bit different that does really well. Why don't you try this? And, whatever. And I'm not even trying to be part of that business per se. I'm just trying to show them, look, I could bring you some value because I'm showing you ways that you can increase that business. Or, if you have another business, I'll go and I'll just give you suggestions of how to help with your business. And that's what I've done with a lot of people. And we became partners on different businesses because I literally help. I could think of, a handful of people and gave them like good advice. And I saw, like, over the years, they've used that advice and they did really well with it. Yeah. And then, now we're partners on different things. So that would be a really, really good one to figure out, like, how do I know that you're going to be a good partner? Well, show me something that you're going to bring value and how you can help me with my business. Right. Give me some of the ideas, and let me try them, or if I think that they're good, I'll be like, holy crap, this person's going to be a really good partner. So that would be like, and that's basically sort of what you did a little bit with Pace in the beginning. Just
like bringing leads, it's like for those that hadn't heard that, it's like, I essentially reached out to Pace, like texting like, hey, like, my name's Cody Barton. I'm generating a lot of leads. I'm not closing at the highest level. You're a great closer. I'd love to just give these leads to you. You can make the money from them. I want to watch so I could learn the process, but like, you can make the money on them.
You want to know the key thing about that I don't know if people are hearing? Did you ask for anything in return?
No, I was just like, I just want to watch. Yeah. I just want to see. I just want to see what you're doing.
99 people that go to Pace or whoever, and it's like, look, I want to do this. I want to give you all this, but I want you to, you need to give me this back. That's what most people do. You didn't say, I want something back. Yeah, you want to learn, but that's not really something back. That's just common. But I'm saying, when I say they want something back, is, look, I'm going to give you this, but if you do it, give me $1,000. Yeah. Or if you do it, you have to split the profit. You didn't ask for profits or anything like that. You asked to learn. Look, I'll keep doing it. Yeah. And that I'll learn. So very few people do that. Like, most people are,
short-sightedness, honestly.
Very short-sightedness.
Like, I look at, and this is what I constantly try to portray to people in business, is like, business is a lifelong game. And, you could set yourself up for many years by doing the right things from the beginning stages. And like, that's just the way that I looked at it. Is I'm like, well, like, because I had conversations with people that they're like, well, why would you just let him just make all the money? It's like, the lessons that I'm going to learn are going to make me so much more money in the long run that it doesn't really matter about the money right now. Like, yes, I want to make money, but like, yes, it's like, I already believe that that's going to happen, but it's like, what can I learn in the process along the way? And, like you're saying, and I know you get this a lot from people too, but it's like, people DM Pace or they DM me and, they'll say like, can I take you to lunch, or can I buy you, can I pick your brain, or can I buy you coffee? It's like, we could buy our own lunch and coffee, and like, it's like, bring me a business deal that we could do together, or like, bring like something that we can do, and or like you said,
it's going to benefit us like monetarily to some degree.
Yes,
not because we want to make the money, just to show that you could actually bring value in the future and do it. Anyone could take us out to lunch. Like, we don't need 100% people do that all the time. And they mean well.
And it's like, I feel bad because I'm just like, I don't really want to do that. But it's like, it's like people need to find like different ways to be able to help. Like, bring like a deal or something. Like, hey, I have this deal. Like, I'm not going to even ask for an assignment. I want you to take the deal, but I want to talk with you. Like, can we go to lunch? Here's the deal. You know, like, I don't know, something where there's.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about like a couple of the last few people that we partner with or are doing deals with, and we're making money for each other. Right. So Alexis is in here. You know, one day she came to me, she messaged me. She's like, oh, could I, you know, come to your office and, you know, do something. I was like, yeah, cool. So she actually, you know, drove into town. She was from Florida.
Yeah.
She did in one of our real estate events that we do monthly, she came to it. And then the day after I was like, yeah, come, you know, let's talk. Let's hear your story. Let's figure out different things we could do. She came and she's like, oh, you know, I'm interested in this, and this. And, you know, I showed her the different things I wanted to do, but, you know, and then she showed me stuff that she could do. And we ended up doing some deals together.
Yeah.
And literally since then, you know, now like we're partners on like some different lending stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, because she showed that she could do basically some of the integrator stuff. She thought she was a visionary. Well, she probably is.
Yeah.
But she has a lot of visionary and
you know, everyone has some tendencies. Like for sure.
And so she basically did a whole lot of integrator stuff that like I just didn't want to. So I do a lot of lending.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the ways I make a lot of money. I do a lot of different types of lending, and Pace came out with Gator lending and, you know, over a year ago. And I basically never did EMD lending just because it was a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
And that's the integrator stuff. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Transactional loans and PML.
Those are easy. Yeah.
Paperwork wise, not that hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? You know, I started doing some transactional loans with Alexis. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't we do EMD loans? I just don't want to do it because I don't want to, but you do the paperwork and figure it all out. And she's like, cool. And then like literally like the next day she you know, went through all the modules, all the videos, and we started doing EMDs. And we've done some EMD loans that we're going to do like, you know, another video later with Pace to go through it, because we've probably done some of the biggest EMD loans. And we did a $2 million EMD loan. We've done multiple, like few $100,000 EMD loans, 100,000, like tons and tons of them. So, but it's all because she, you know, went through it,
took the initiative to figure it out, so you didn't have to deal with it. It was just like, all right, I just got to send the money, and I don't have to deal with all the stuff.
Yeah, and then we split the profit. And we're partners on this venture, and we're probably going to grow it and do more stuff with it. So, but that's something, you know, she brought the value. She's like, look, you know, you're already doing a lot of lending. Why aren't you doing this other lending? I'm like, well, because I don't want to mess with the paperwork. She's like, what if I do it all and make sure it's super secure? And I mean, she does a lot of work with it. You know? Like it takes hours and hours.
For sure. It's like sifting through all of them, seeing which ones are legit or crappy deals, and
making sure they're super safe, making sure the attorneys aren't going to keep the money. We've had a few issues with them almost wanting to keep the money, but because of all the stuff Alexis put in all the contracts, you know, we were able to, you know, get the money. But so that was just one example. That's because that just happened, you know, over the last few months. She actually moved to Atlanta, and, you know, now we actually have a business together, a cleaning business. We actually have a few other businesses in the works. We have a bunch of real estate stuff we're doing together, but then loan stuff is like kind of the main stuff we're doing that, you know, day to day is what she's involved with the most. But yeah, we're partners. I mean, she never worked for me. You know, I never worked for her. We're just partners, and it just works out really well. And we have the same visions. And you know, when you go to somebody and you're like, look, let me just help you. Let me just give you all the stuff. Yeah. But I don't want nothing in return as far as, you know, monetarily, you're showing that you're a good person. You know, you're showing that you're going to get along. You're not going to be greedy later.
Your character.
What's the biggest reason why people don't want to have partners? They fight. They steal from each other. They just, you know, you think you deserve more. I think I deserve more. And that's how we fight. Well, if you lead with like, look, I just want to give you whatever. I want nothing back. You know, I want to learn from you, but I don't want nothing back. I mean, that's going to tell that person like, look, this could be a really good partner because they're not going to be greedy. They're not going to, you know, and, you know, I know like Pace is like this. I'm like this. You're like this. Like I always try to make the deal better for the other person. Like my partner, like if they come to me, they're like, oh, I want 30%. I'm like, why don't you take 35 or 40? You know what? I always try to make it even more fair because I know it's a good deal for me. I want it to be a good deal for them. Right. And I'm sure you guys do the same exact thing. Yeah. And you probably think Pace gives you the best deal. Pace probably thinks you've given him the best deal. Like,
it's because I think we both love what we do that it's just like, I'm like, damn, like this is dope because I get to do what I love to do. And then I'm like, man, like I would hate to do what he's doing. And then he's thinking the same thing. He's like, I don't want to do any of that crap. But like, it's like that thing of like, we both are doing what we love. So it's like, it feels like a great deal. And it's everyone. Yes. And like, that's like, you know, the thing that people have to look for, obviously like those win-wins. And it's funny on that. Cause like now, and you know, I know like your years and years and like tons of businesses beyond where I'm at even today. But
you've done a lot in the last, like amount of time that it took you to get from like 4 years ago to now. Yeah. Like, that's like where you're at. I mean, I saw where you were at like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and where you're at now. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, I've done a lot, but like there's certain things that you've done that I haven't been able to do, especially in that short of a time, but I haven't even, been able to do, I haven't tried to do because, I was doing other stuff, but there's a lot of things you've done that like I haven't even come close to doing.
Yeah. And it's just like, we've just really tried to compress the time frames. And like, I know for Pace and me, it's kind of weird because I had this, from 17 to 21, I was doing network marketing. I was making six figures. I was like, I thought I was, amazing. And then it all crumbled when I was 21. I was like, oh my God, my life is over. So like, I already had kind of this life is over moment at 21. And then I was like, I felt like I was then behind. I was like, I needed to speed things up. And, it's funny because like Pace is in it. We both kind of came together in a similar mindset of like, we both felt like we were extremely behind, even though we were already both doing good. Yeah. And so it was just like this, we were both like, we need to compress timeframes. We need to compress timeframes and move faster and do more. And it's interesting, just like on the money side is, now it's like we both take a good amount of money out of the business, and that's cool, but like significantly more of the money is in the business and doing a bunch of other things, going towards funds to buy businesses, to buy a new building, and like hiring and building out new departments. And it's like that's where like a lot of it goes, and it's like it doesn't really become about the money anymore. It's like
more fun.
Yes,
more fun. Now it's about having fun.
Yeah.
You have enough to live. Like you're never gonna have to worry about living.
Yes,
like, you're gonna eat every day. You're gonna
it's gonna be fine.
You're gonna live in a good house. Like you're fine. Now it's a matter of enjoying life, having fun, and impacting other people as well.
Yes, and then like helping others, like it's like that whole like rising tide raises all ships. It's like that's what we want to be for other people now. And it's like being able to see other people achieve their goals and their dreams within our companies and within the things that we could teach other people. And, with Pace is the amazing, sub 2 community. And, that's where, part of that's inspired me of like, that's where I want to have an Integrator Academy is like, who are the people that aren't being spoken to? And it's like it's an audience that doesn't have anywhere to go and doesn't have that place. And, there's a lot of talented people that are maybe sitting in opportunities, like they're in the wrong vehicle. It's like there's a lot of vehicles for people to win in life, but like sometimes people don't even know what they don't know. It's like you could be in a Ferrari or they're like, literally like the Fred Flintstone, like, pressing along with just every step scraping by, and it's like, I want to help show those people that are, in that same realm of like the integrators and operators of the world, like, hey, like this is what you can create an amazing life. And, it just takes learning some different skills and then getting around different people too.
I can't wait until you start the Integrator Academy. First of all, I'm never going to get in it or watch it.
No, I wouldn't expect you to.
All my operators, I'm going to be the first one to buy. Like when you tell me it's ready, I want to be the first one to buy the course. It's not going to be for me, but it's going to be for all my integrators and for all my operating partners. They're going to love it. And like, it's going to help us a ton as well. And this is the crazy thing about like these type of mentorships and programs. No matter how good you are at your business, there's always a whole bunch of shit that other people know that you don't know because everyone knows different stuff. Like you could learn from someone that's way below you a couple things and that could change a lot of stuff. But obviously you're at the level where at this point, you've pretty much got, there's really nothing you can't learn from you. So I'm sure a lot of the stuff that they know, you're teaching, they already know, but there's going to be like some really big nuggets.
It's the nuggets.
Like exponentially grow certain parts of them that they've been trying to figure out, and you've already done it.
Yeah. And that's sometimes the biggest thing is it's usually not like these like drastic, amazing things that are going to be the game changer for most people. It's usually just these little changes that they make and maybe their hiring process to get better talent, or it's these little changes of like how they run their team's meetings, or these little changes of how they audit their time and their team's time so that they're running more efficiently. It's like these little things that people do 100%. That make the big difference. And that's really, it's like going to be a bundle of tons of those things of like little tweaks that people could do.
Because, me and my partners, we're super successful. We do really well.
Yeah.
There's tons of other people that are super successful, do really well. But the 90% or the 80% or 90% of what you teach, we're already doing. But that 10, 20% is worth 100 times more than 80% because everyone has those little, special things that they do. And that's the important stuff. And everyone does it a little bit differently. And, when they see someone else successful that does it, a a lot of it is going to change the way we're doing it now.
100%. And like the thing, like what's inspired me more towards wanting to do it, because like I've been kicking around the idea for like a year and a half with Pace, and then with everything going on, I'm like, I just don't even have the bandwidth to build this thing the way I'd want it to be able to really make the impact. And now we're, freeing up some of that time to do it. I'm like, it's just, there's so many things that I see other people struggling with, and we have conversations. I mean, we were at community camp in Montana, and it's like, talking to people, and they're like, I just can't figure out how to do this. And it's just like, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like such a no-brainer thing to like how we could fix this. And I'm like, it's just that honestly was like the kick in the butt was like, I really need to get this done this year. Like I need to just like get, so like I have the outline. I'm like, I'll get like the first version that'll be probably, really around people, and then we'll be adding on to it as it goes. But there's not really any other outlets. Like I don't know if you found any good operating courses. It's like go to college for 4 years and get an MBA, or
but then you still don't have that community.
No.
Or you could like ask questions in a group and I've already done that. I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done this. Like you're gonna learn from people in the community. They'd be like, you know what?
And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm like, hey guys, here's how we do our job ads. And then someone else is gonna, make their new rendition, and they're like, we're seeing X amount increase because we changed it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I need to change it. Thank you. Like I'm, on a selfish side of it too, it's like I'm looking forward to learning from the other really talented operators within the community. Cause like I have my strong suits, but like there's a lot of areas like technology I am not strong at. People think they're like, oh, Cody's an integrator, must be great at like, connecting Zapier and setting up APIs. I'm like, I have never done that before. I'm like, I don't know how to do that stuff.
You hire someone that's good.
I hire someone. I understand functionally what I need to be accomplished, and then I plug someone to do it,
So this particular program that you're going to start, the Integrator Academy, who's going to be involved in that? Who's going to be is it you and Pace? Is it just you?
Yeah. It'll be, I'll be the one building out all the stuff, but like I think I'm definitely, up to Pace on what he wants to do, like having him in certain pieces of it, like where we can talk about dynamics between integrator, visionary, and business. I think that would be a really fun part to involve in there. And then we're going to have a lot of our team too. Like I'm going to have, our CFO is going to be a special guest a couple times a month, just going over like managing your company's money. We're going to have our project manager, like showing people how to be better project managers. We're going to have our recruiter going over new recruiting strategies and uploading new content of like pre-screens that we do, and like coaching on, hey, what did you see, like the things that went well in this one versus that one. And, so we're going to be bringing a lot of our team that does a lot of things, like our director of operations, Giselle, she'll be a special guest in there too. So like, we're going to have a lot of our hitters in these different roles that are coming in and bringing value.
You'll see it firsthand.
Yes.
So I know like with Pace and you doing it together, it'll blow up because Pace is so good at getting everybody to know about it.
Yes,
getting everyone in there.
Yeah.
And then, showing the value. And then he'll be an incredible guest too, because for all the integrators, they need to understand how to find the right visionary.
Yes.
And, I'm sure he'll have a lot of good, feedback on
then maybe that would be a fun, just like a whole like module section of like the integrator visionary relationship. And like we just do like a few sections.
How to find the good visionary for you being the integrator.
I think that would be super fun. But yeah, so it's like, I want to bring it where it's like we have all these special, guests that are coming on, and eventually when we have like a head of technology, like they come on as a guest, and like literally have just all of our head of operations from the business buying side. It's like having her be able to come in and teach on different things and do Q&A. So like I see it as like, I'll probably, bless Pace's heart, but I will not be as active in there as he is in Sub 2's community.
I don't think anyone could possibly be as active as Pace in any group that exists. Like he is more active than like the next 10 people that have different groups combined.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like,
no.
I don't even see how it's possible. It like I don't think he sleeps.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll probably do like a thing like once a week in there to support consistently. And I'm like, that's already a lot of commitment for me to be in that.
Well, you know what's going to be cool? Like, you do that once a week, but then you'll have, like you said, your other people.
I'll have a dozen guests, so it'll be.
You'll see like everyone's perspective, not just yours.
Yes.
And then eventually you're gonna have tons of good leaders in the group, like Sub 2 and everyone else.
Yeah.
And people will want to just listen to them and hear them because they'll have their perspective.
And that's exactly what I want to be able to cultivate in there, is like seeing what Pace has done with Sub 2 and like having that in there where it's like we have, certain people that are going to be like technology experts that are teaching on those things, and certain people that are, on the people and recruiting and team building side. Like that's my favorite part about like the integration side, is like I love building teams, having more on, the actual HR side, and like just literally anything somebody could need on, from the hiring to managing people to, org chart design and accountability chart, design, and like architecting, like forecasting out your business from financial side. Like everything will be there for people to, I mean, they won't need to go anywhere else. Yes. And it's not because I'm so great, it's because we're going to have so many great people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't be great by yourself.
No,
you have to have a lot of people with you. So obviously, Pace and you have Gator together, right?
Yeah.
That's both of you guys is group. So, I mean, you already have a lot of, experience with having a group. I mean, I'm in the Gator group, and like the community in there is unbelievable. I mean, it's
very active.
It's very, very active. And like everybody there is helping each other, doing deals together. A lot of the big deals, or most of the big deals that we've done, in with lending, has come from other members in that group that brought it to us, and we partnered. Like almost every big deal has been some sort of partnership with somebody that's already in there.
That's amazing.
So, because you've already done that now with Gator, when you do the integrator one, I mean, you're just going to be able to see what worked and didn't work. And it's just going to be so much easier and so much better, so much faster.
100%. And it's like, and isn't it just talking on that for a second, like people go to college for 4 years, and I don't know what an average person spends, like 20, 30 grand a year, maybe more. I don't know. I don't even know how much people spend. It's too much money.
They spend a lot more than that, I think.
Too much money.
It makes no sense.
It's like they'll end up 50 grand, 70 grand, 100 grand in debt, or more.
90% don't learn shit.
So it's like people go that path, and it's like they graduate and they have this piece of paper. It's like, I'm smart, piece of paper, right? And I'm not knocking college for people that want to be engineers, lawyers, doctors, teachers. It's like that. Yeah, you got to go to college.
There's certain things you have to.
Yeah, but for majority, it's like, it's not the best thing. And so, isn't it funny how it's like there's communities like Sub 2 where it's like people can get involved in that for less than $10,000. People can get involved in Gator for a few $1,000s. I mean, people spend that on just like one vacation a year, like go to Disneyland, and it's like the cost of getting into one of these communities, And so it's like people spend that on college, and then, they look at, and these groups and communities are growing so rapidly. So it's like tons of value that people see, but it's like there's that question, should I spend the money on, this community or this mentorship or this thing? And it's like, I just, it's 2023. Like
I've made more money just joining different mentorships. Obviously I'm in Sub 2, I'm in Astro Flipping, I'm in Gate, I'm in a bunch of others.
Yeah.
But man, the return on investment on
is sickening.
It doesn't matter. Like we could talk about Sub 2 or Gator or Astro Flipping. It doesn't matter because those are the three the most about. But like Gator, I don't even remember what it cost. It was like stupid low. It didn't make any sense. I mean, I think like in the last 3 months since I joined, like about 3 months ago, I have literally done deals with people in there that have got me hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit, hundreds of thousands for spending a few $1,000s, like in 3 months. What kind of a return is that to spend 3,000 and get, let's say, 200,000 back in 3 months?
The math, I don't know how to math on that one, but it's crazy. It's good. It's good.
And then in Sub 2, whatever it was when I bought it in 2020 when it first came out.
Yeah.
It was like 7,000 to 8,000 bucks. I don't remember what it was, but literally I've done deals with hundreds and hundreds of people in there that I've definitely made millions and millions of dollars on. I mean, the infinite return. Now you look at college. Let's say you spend, like you said, whatever,
50 to 80 grand over the 4 years or whatever. I don't even know.
I think people spend 100,000 at least, but whatever. I guess it depends on but they spend 100,000. Most people are in debt for the next 10 years. They don't even get their money back, let alone having some sort of return.
Yeah.
And then the 20% of the people that need to go to college probably eventually, it makes sense.
Right.
The other 80%, they just threw that money away because they're not even using the paper.
And the years it took to get that too. It's like they go through 4 years.
Oh my God.
That was, and just, it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's like, in high school, I was like, man, this shit is stupid. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is this path into college? It's like, I always thought it was stupid. And I just felt like this black sheep of like, I felt dumb because I'm like, am I just a weirdo? Because like everyone is on this path and I'm like, I want to go over this way.
Your parents pressure you, different like people pressure you. Like most people that I talk to that went to college, I'm like, why'd you go to college? Like, oh, because my
parents, my grandparents,
they want to make them proud.
Yeah.
So Alexis is here, and we talked about her a second ago, but like Alexis had a 4.8 GPA out of 4, which I don't even know how it's possible. 4.8
smart ass.
Yeah. I found out she cheated a lot, but regardless, she still had a 4.8. People at the time didn't know she cheated. And she got like a full scholarship in the Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And she went there. And, you know, again, her mom really wanted her to go because, you know, it's like, oh, you know,
you have
all the
to.
smart people go. You have to
go. Otherwise, you fail in life.
She ended up, you're a loser if you don't go to college. So she ended up dropping out after the first year, full scholarship to Georgia Tech. And her mom was so disappointed. And that was like the main reason why she didn't want to leave, is because her mom. But you know what happened? She ended up getting into real estate, got into Sub2 and, you know, a couple other programs. She started wholesaling. She made over 6 figures in her first year dropping out of college. And then what happened? Her mom was like, oh, I'm so proud of you, like this and that. So it's not that, you know, parents or whoever thinks that you can't make money without going to college.
Yeah.
But, you know, once you prove to them that, look, I can do better. Like if I went to college and wasted the next 4 years of my life, how much am I going to make? 100,000 a year? 100,000?
Yeah.
I just made 100,000 and I didn't even waste those 3 years. And I'm, you know,
the opportunity cost of all those years of waiting to start earning too. It's like the compounding in life, you know, and it's like, I look at that and it's like, I had a lot of friends that, you know, that went to college, and, you know, it's like by the time they were graduating college, like I was already making 6 figures for multiple years in a row, owned properties, and like they're like in debt, just starting entry-level job, like 50 grand a year or whatever it is, you know, and it's like, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's like what they're passionate about and that's what they want to do. But it's like, you know, when people are looking at what is the, like, what path should they actually, you know, take? And that's where, you know, another thing that I'm excited about with the Integrator Academy is it's like, there's people that there could be an 18-year-old kid that they want to just go into business, and they could just go through a program like that. I don't know how much we're going to sell it for. It's not going to be super expensive, but someone could go through that and they can go and be
I'm sure it's going to keep going up in price as you
probably as I introduce, probably as we, you know, add more to it. But you know, it's like someone could come into that and then go and make a huge impact on a business. And, you know, there's no reason that someone wouldn't be able to go through something like that and then go plug into a business and be making, either as an employee making 6 figures, or as a partner and be making, you know, sky's the limit on those skills.
And maybe even if they don't own the business, right? And they're working the business, they're making 6 figures. Maybe they'll get some sort of a little percent for being the best integrator.
Yes.
And they're going to learn those skills from, you know, all your experience of doing it, and all the people that you've talked to that, you know, you looked up to that told you what they did that you implemented.
Yes, 100%. And I think, you know, when it just comes on the topic of like whether someone should go work for someone else or they work on their own, something that, you know, me and Pace, like we just like joke or laugh about sometimes is people are like, oh, like they, you know, they want to just, if their ambition is like they just want to make, say, 100 grand a year, it's like the better way to probably do that is probably to go work in someone's business. Why do you want the brain damage of just making 100 grand a year if you're going to go get in business?
There's nothing wrong with that.
And no, and there's not. It's just like knowing their self. You know, it's like we were talking about, you know, a friend for both of ours, Kevin Cho. It's like, you know, it's like you have to know what you want before it's like making that decision. And so that's where I think most people just don't understand that. And they see just on Instagram, people are like, my business is doing 100 grand a month in revenue. And people are like, oh my gosh, they're making $1 million a year. It's like, nah, their margins are probably less than 20%, because like goods probably somewhere in 20 to 30%, maybe a little over if they're really good, but usually they're going to be under because they're mismanaging most of everything and overspending. And, you know,
I mean, there's some people, like you said, that want to own business, want to have that freedom, want to be able to, you know, grow their life and whatever. And there's some people that just, it's not for them. Like I've literally bought businesses from a couple people that were business owners for many years, and they just got burnt out because they were doing everything because they didn't understand how to do the integrator, you know, visionary thing. And they sold me their business, and I'm like, all right, why are you selling it? They're like, I just don't want to do certain aspects of my business. I'm like, well, do you want to, like, you know, still run the business with me? Like, you want? I'll just sell it to you and I'll work for you. And, you know, that happened with a couple businesses I bought, and the person I bought it from actually still works there. They only want to run the stuff that they enjoy and that they like doing. And I have someone else that does everything else now, and they just, you know, they're just happy. And so it's like you said, like, you don't have to own it. You just have to be able to understand what you want to do.
Yeah.
And some people want to own it and grow and, you know, own tons of stuff. And some people just content with a certain amount and having the life that they enjoy and being happy.
100%. So kind of as we get to wrapping up, obviously this podcast, That's Not My Job podcast, it's really, a lot of the audience listening are people that are integrators and maybe in operations roles, or, trying to find themselves. They don't even know what they are. They're just like, I just know I want more in life. What would you say, like, what would be some words that you would share, with somebody that maybe is in that situation and they're kind of in that beginning journey, or they're kind of feeling stuck, or they're trying to figure out like what's the next move for them? Like, any suggestions on like things that they should be doing, or any ideas that you'd love to just share?
Definitely they should figure out exactly where they want to be in life in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and figure out what they enjoy doing, and figure out a way to do what they enjoy and get to where they want to get to doing what they enjoy. Because we all know, like, when we're doing stuff we don't enjoy, even if we can make a lot of money, eventually it just doesn't pan out because you get burnt out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways, and sometimes you have to like back into it, like figure out and go backwards. Sometimes you go forward. The integrator role is so crucial. It's way more important than the visionary role. Like, every visionary is like, would love to have great integrators. It's very hard to find for visionaries, to have the right one. So figure out like what you want to do. And if you don't want to do the visionary part, find people that you look up to that are doing that potentially, I promise that every visionary needs an integrator. Even if they have a good integrator, they probably want to do more. But the reason why they're not doing more is because they don't have an integrator for the extra stuff. Like, there's only so much capacity that every integrator can have. No matter, maybe it's 5 businesses, maybe it's 10 businesses, but visionaries just want to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, like I have, 1 or 2 main integrators in most of my businesses.
Yeah.
But I have many others that are 1-offs or 2-offs in other ones, because the ones that I'm using now, just either they're like, I don't like that, or I don't want to do that because I don't see the same vision, or they just have too much going on and it's not worth their time at the moment.
Yeah.
So I would find some good visionaries that you like and figure out ways to connect with them and, show them that you could help them, without being, asking for really anything in return, and hanging around them and getting to know each other. And that would be a great way to get in, especially if you're younger and, really hungry and motivated to like what you did, look, because of what you did, look where you're at now.
Yeah. And it's, what it kind of brings me back to is like, remember, it's like 100 years ago, like people were like apprentices. Like that was like a thing. It's like someone wanted to be a blacksmith, and it's like they would go be an apprentice, like an unpaid apprentice, and just like learn the craft. And then eventually they're a master at the craft. And, I feel like that's just something that should come back more, and I'm not saying that people need to go work for free for years, but like just going and like getting in the corridor of like what the thing that you're wanting to be involved with, and just like, how can you go bring value? And maybe it's, I guess, you have to survive. And it's like, maybe you're working like the job you don't really want to be in. And then your free time, you're going and working for free in the type of business you want to be in, and be learning the things, and, getting around the people, rubbing elbows with people that you could eventually, create opportunities with.
So funny you say that. So I have like a few integrators. Probably one of my main ones at this point was an intern of mine, like 20 years ago. Like, I'm like 15 years older or 12 years older than them. They came to me and they, wanted to just kind of be around me and do stuff. And now we have a lot of business together. They're multi-millionaires. They have plenty of money. But literally, it was them just, interning with me, which is basically what you're saying with the blacksmith. It's just coming to help you and learn from you. And then eventually you find out that you're a good match, and you're like, well, like, let's do stuff together. Yeah. That's kind of like almost a really easy way. Going back to your first question that you asked me before, go ahead and intern with people. Let me just work for you for free.
Yes.
And if you think that, you guys could be a good connection, like it could turn into like major big things down the road.
And it's funny because like I think we're in a society now, especially with social media and everything, like people get like a lot of entitlement of like they just see things online, and people move a lot with entitlement nowadays. And I don't know if was different before social media. Like that's kind of the world I grew up in, but it's like a lot of people think that they should just like be further along without going through like the actual, go through the shit, like the things you just have to like kind of work through to actually get to where you, really want to be. And I don't know if you've noticed that, just like from like, obviously, you grew up without the social media being, what it is today. Do you notice that as a different thing? I don't know. Maybe it's just people are just
it's a lot
always
more
like
now than it used to be. Yeah. It was always there. It was always there.
Yeah.
It's a lot more now, but again, that's the way to weed out if you know it's going to be a good person or not. Because the people that are entitled, those are not going to be the right people to work with.
Yeah.
So you're instantly kicking yourself out if you're coming in with that mentality.
Yeah, no, I love that. So any final thoughts before we wrap up, Abraham?
No, I mean, nothing major. It's just that I really, over the last, year or so, really got to know you a lot more. And I love the relationship we have. I love
me
that
too.
You can call me, ask me stuff. I'm going to help you with the stuff I know, and vice versa. I can call you. And man, I mean, we're going to both take ourselves to the next level just by helping each other. I can't wait till this new course comes out. And yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everything that you always are helping me and Pace with so much. And, again, guys, the Integrator Academy is something that will be coming out here soon. Or depending on when you're listening, it might already be there. If you go to integratoracademy.io, you could join the waiting list for when that's going to drop. But with that being said, we'll see you in the next episode, everybody. Peace.